Hi there, I'm Ann Roman. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for subscribing. I am so grateful for that. Very grateful. I'll give you a little background about me. I'm a first generation American. Yeah, my mother had to pay an $8 head tax into this country. And I am a natural born psychic. I've been this way my whole life. I do medium work, I do tea leaves, I'm an intuitive counselor. I'm even a nana. They call me Granny sometimes. Anyway, and I am a student of astrology. I have been a student of astrology since I was about 11 years old. And, or maybe earlier, in third grade, I used to read the Sydney Omar's Astrology Daily Forecast. I used to love that. Um, and I still do love it. I still am fascinated by astrology because you cannot fix it, you cannot change it, and you can't manipulate astrology. And I love that. It's kind of like the runes. My daughter taught me how to do runes, and I love those too. Um, I am the owner of a online psychic business as well, and right now we're making some changes, and um, that's it's on hiatus for a little while. So I'll tell you more about that at another time. Um, we have some things going on, and astrology wise, there's some big changes. Something's going on. People keep calling me and saying, Ann, what is happening? Why am I going through this? Why is there such drudgery? I mean, even myself, I felt like I was going through the dark night of the soul, which is really difficult, is a really difficult time. And I feel like I got through that, but I know so many people, I'm going through some things that are really, really harsh. And it's a hard thing to get to the other side. And when you're going through it, you think that there's nothing's going to change, and you worry about what's going to happen. I've heard people losing their jobs and financial homes, everything, just not working out. So there's some things going on astrologically that maybe you're not aware of that I know about. um, I do a lot of astrology with my work. I work with the Holy Spirit, always have. I do medium work. I love medium work. I love helping people, and I love if you have questions, you can always ask me a question. I do charge for readings, and sometimes I run specials. If you have any questions, you can reach me at annroman22 at me.com, and that's ANNROMAN 22 at me.com. You can send me a note. I'm always happy to read notes from friends and clients and people I don't know. I'm always open to that. This is not a political place. I don't want to hear about politics. I'm just going to be flat out about that. I don't want to hear about politics. Let's stay in the peaceful zone. That's where I want to be. Create peace, think peace. Most people, that's what they want, peace. Let's just be in a state of peace. With that being said, I'm also a bit of a fun person. I love making jokes and having fun. I've always been, funny and serious. So I have, been blessed with the ability to be both and do accents. I was raised around people that spoke English a different way or didn't speak English another language, and I am a study of that. So I'm very culturally aware, and I use that in my work. Actually, I understand that linguistics really does mean a lot for how people live and survive. It is really important to understand different cultures. So I have that under my belt too. But astrology has always been important, and I've had people ask me, what is going on? Well, we had a big thing. We had a big movement. We had Pluto move into Aquarius, and that caused a lot of havoc for a little while. You could feel that moving, and now it's resting in Aquarius, and I think it's kind of softened a little bit. But I've noticed a lot of people have gone through a lot of life change and worry and what is it? Well, it's probably a little bit of that, making changes. Whenever there's a change with a big planet like Pluto, you have to look at certain things in your life, and there are life changes. Astrology is real convoluted because in your chart you got this piece of pie, and we take this piece of pie and we divide it in 12, and each one of those 12 little sections is ruled by a sign and has a purpose. So just let me just say it quickly, because I describe this as counterclockwise in a clockwise world, because the astrology chart, goes backwards. So I guess I have to do it this way. 'Cause it goes backwards. So it starts at 9 o'clock and then it finishes at 10:59, I guess, because it's actually 9:59. It finished at 9:59 because the next house would be 10. But anyway, the first house is called the house of self, and that is, on the median line where you find your rising. And that house is ruled by Aries, and that is the house of self. The second house is ruled by Taurus, and that is about money and finances. Third house is mental expansion, reading, education, ruled by Gemini. Fourth house, ruled by Cancer, is the home and family. Fifth house, ruled by Leo. That's where we find creativity and sexuality. Sixth house is ruled by Virgo, and that is about health, wellness, and service to others. Seventh house is ruled by Libra, and that is the house of partnerships. Eighth house ruled by Scorpio, and that is the house of legacies. So you find out, there's a few things in there. You kind of go, oh, that's a funny house. Not my favorite house. You either got it in that house or you don't. And the ninth house is ruled by Sagittarius, and that's travel. 10th house ruled by Capricorn, work, hard work. Capricorns work the hardest of anybody I know. 11th house is ruled by Aquarius, humanitarian Aquarius, so that is all about socialization and friends and that sort of thing. And the 12th house is ruled by Pisces, intuition, self-undoing, secrets. I have Leo. I have Leo and Venus in my 12th house. Not so good for a love life. Just saying. Anyway, so those are the houses. So in those houses, that never changes. What does change is at the time of your birth where you land in all those houses. So it always stays the same, that it's the self and the da-da-da-da. But who rules that first house for you is a little different. So if you have, let's say, first house in let's just say Taurus, that's probably what you're going to look like. You're going to look like a Taurus. So that is, I'm not going to go into all the 12 houses. I just can't, because it's so much. But I am going to talk about, the eclipse, because we've got an eclipse coming up on the 14th and on the 29th. The 14th is a full moon eclipse in Virgo, and that will be at around, in California, it'll be around 10:59 on the 13th. Greenwich time, it will be, 6 in the morning on the 14th. And Greenwich is in England, and that's where the timeline starts. And we're, 8 hours behind that. So on the 14th, we have that. And Mercury also goes retrograde on that day. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But this eclipse series we have with eclipses, I'm just going to describe this a little bit. So every year we have an eclipse series, and it's usually a sun sign, let's say Virgo, And then it will be the polar opposite sign, that is Pisces. And that'll be what the two signs are in. And sometimes they take a little bit longer to move. Like this time, we're finishing up the Libra Aries eclipse series, and we will have the new moon eclipse will be in Aries on the 29th, and that is finishing up the Libra Aries. Now, wherever you have these signs in your chart, in your big pie, is where these will affect you. And with Mercury in retrograde, that's it kind of might stick a little bit longer, because that's what Mercury does. When it's in retro, it appears that it's moving backwards, but it's just stationary, really. But that's what we say, retrograde. It changes its degree. So with that, eclipses do cause havoc. And some signs are worse than others. Some people never feel an eclipse. Some never feel like it. They'll say, I've noticed, something's a little bit different. Or, a friend of mine was going through this thing. It never happens to them. And that happens to some people. They're not affected by anything astrologically. I don't know why that is, but I am. And I'm a Virgo. I can't wait for the new moon Virgo in September. The new moon Virgo eclipse in September. Can hardly wait. So that's eclipse. So to describe it, each house is 29 degrees. Each movement is at a degree. Okay, so when it finishes up at 29, it moves into the next sign. See how convoluted it is? You're like, Anne, what are you talking about? And there are so many times, because a lot of it's in my head, it just gets hard to really explain it, but a lot of times, I try really hard. So let's say you've got Virgo in the 11th house, and it's hitting your 11th house of friendship, and you also have Saturn in that house. Saturn is usually something kind of goes haywire. There's a lesson there. You may have an issue with a friend, and maybe this eclipse, because it's a full moon eclipse, perhaps that'll end the problem. Or you may have a situation happen with your friend that causes an ending of a friendship because of the Saturn lesson energy. So all planets have meanings. They all bring things. They all bring gifts. They bring, things that we have to learn to strive for and be better at. But nothing, hopefully not too harsh. There are some things that are astrological that are rather difficult. And I look at some natal charts and I think, oh my God, how have you gotten this far? So with the eclipse, we have the 14th will be Virgo at about 10 o'clock at night, and the 10th in the late evening hour of 10 somewhere, 10:59 I think it is, and that's in California time. And then we have the Aries solar eclipse, and I think that's a partial solar, and that will be on the 29th. And Aries, is ruled by Mars, so there's some energy with that. You may be striving to do some things or have new beginnings that you've been thinking about since last September that you may be getting going. This eclipse may help you with that. What I always say about eclipses is, yeah, they can be harsh. Drive slower. Count to 10. Be careful with your words. Be careful driving. Look around, because people aren't paying attention. People are usually, during an eclipse time, they're usually agitated or get agitated easily. So just be wary of that and mind your words, and you'll make it through. You will make it through. I'd love to hear what your experiences are, so let me know. The other things that we have going on are Mercury retrograde. I did bring that up, and that is in Aries. And because it's in Aries, Mercury retrograde during Pisces time, it will bring a little bit of intuition. It could, not always, and a little bit of compassion because Pisces tends to be like that. But Mercury retrograde can really create havoc. I've seen things like, all the reservation stuff uh, for an airline have gone completely askew during an eclipse, or I mean, as in a Mercury retrograde. Um, Weird things happen during a Mercury retrograde. You shouldn't buy a car. You shouldn't sign a contract. If you've already got something going and you're due to sign in Mercury retrograde, that's different. There may be some revisions at that time, but if you're in real estate, and this for me, I'm in real estate, and when I would write a contract during Mercury retrograde, it always went something always happened. And there, we got out of the contract only to get back into it later. So just be aware of that. Cars make funny noises. We need new tires. We need something fixed. Electronics kind of go kind of haywire. It's kind of a strange time. Relationships started during this time. Romantic relationships don't usually last. Usually they'll fizzle out. Um, just kind of go easy during that time. If you meet somebody new, don't make it a solid relationship until after. Wait until I believe Mercury is done. I want to say it's April 6th. And after that, you can do whatever you want. The other thing that's retrograde, and that's retro right now, and that's from March 1st through the 27th in Aries, Venus. Now, when Venus is retrograde, it doesn't mean that you're having havoc and terrible things happen. It's a time for thinking and being in a state of thinking about certain things. You may want to think about your relationships and how you approach them. Um, Decorating your house, your finances, thinking about things that make you shine. Because Venus rules beautiful things. It rules things that we love, that we love to have around us. So it could be a time that you're in. You're thinking about that, and I think that you'll probably already know what's on your mind right now during this time. It's not like Mercury, because Mercury rules communications. So Mercury, anything that has anything to do with, communications goes haywire. It's not the same with Venus. Venus rules women. Mars rules men. I think somebody wrote a book about that. And we think about softer things during this time. You'll make it through. I just know it. I'd love to hear what your experiences are. And you can send me an email. You can find me on social media and send me a message, or you can put something here. Whatever you'd like to do. I look forward to hearing from you. I hope that you have a good March. And I'm going to put up some other little videos that I have that are kind of fun. I was having some fun, and it's kind of light, so I just want you to know. And if you ever need a reading, you can always reach out to me. Be happy to do that. Look forward to the next time. Many blessings to you. Take care.